The stars looked different from inside the alien research ship. Dr. Zekthan pressed his six-fingered hand against the cool metal panel and watched the readings change on his screen. Something was wrong with the data coming from the outer edge of the galaxy. "Show me Sector 7 again," he said to his assistant. The young alien moved quickly to bring up the star map. Zekthon had been studying space signals for over 30 years. He had found 17 new species during that time. But this signal was unlike anything he had ever seen. The signal came from a small blue planet that orbited a yellow star.
Oh.
Planet should have been dead. It was too close to its sun and covered in water. Worse yet, the readings showed it had weather that could kill most known life forms. Storms that moved faster than spacecraft. Temperature changes that would freeze or burn most creatures. Yet something was sending organized radio signals from its surface. "Contact the Council," Zekthon told his assistant. "We need to send a message to this planet." 3 months later, and many light years away, Commander Jake Sullivan was having a bad day. The mining colony on Jupiter's moon was behind schedule. Again, the workers kept complaining about broken equipment and poor working conditions. Jake had been in space for 6 years and thought he had seen every problem possible. Then his communications officer ran into the command center with wide eyes. "Sir, you need to hear this," Lisa Martinez said. She was young, but good at her job. Jake had learned to trust her when she looked excited like this. "What is it, Martinez?" Jake asked. "Got a message from outside the solar system." "From Earth? It's from someone else." Jake felt his heart stop for a moment. Humans had been alone in space for as long as anyone could remember. They had found no signs of other intelligent life anywhere in the galaxy. Now someone was talking to them. "Play it," he said. The voice that came through the speakers was strange. It sounded like it was trying to speak English, but the words were wrong. The message was simple, though. Someone called the Peaceful Species Alliance wanted to meet with humans. They wanted to talk about joining their group of civilized planets. Jake called his engineer, Ryan Clark, to the command center. Ryan was older and had seen more of space than anyone else on the ship. His advice was usually good. "What do you think?" Jake asked, after playing the message again. Ryan rubbed his gray beard and looked thoughtful. "Could be a trap. Could be the best thing that ever happened to humanity. We won't know until we meet them." "The message says they want to meet at an old space station near Vega," Lisa said. "Neutral ground." Jake nodded. This was bigger than anything a mining colony commander should handle. But Earth was 3 months away by the fastest ship. When had to make a decision. "Send a message back," he said. "Tell them we agree to meet. But we're bringing our own ship and our own people." On the alien research vessel, Ambassador Veltar was preparing for the most important meeting of his long life. He had been in charge of first contact with new species for over 200 years. The process was always the same. Meet the new species, learn about their culture, help them join the peaceful community of the galaxy. Veltar was part of the Kalani people. His species had stopped eating meat millions of years ago. They lived in harmony with nature and had never fought a war. Like most species in the Peaceful Alliance, they had evolved beyond violence, expected all intelligent life to follow the same path. "The humans should be interesting," Veltar told his aide as they traveled to the meeting station. "They come from a water world. Most water world species are very calm and thoughtful." The aide looked at the data they had collected about the human planet. The planet does seem strange, though. Very unstable weather, dangerous conditions. "All planets seem dangerous until you understand them," Veltar said. "I am sure the humans are reasonable people." They agreed to meet us peacefully. 2 weeks later, the old space station near Vega became the most important place in the galaxy. The station had been abandoned for centuries. It was built by a species that had died out long ago. Now it would witness the meeting between humans. And the Galactic community, Captain Steve Parker, brought his ship out of faster-than-light travel with practiced ease.
Oh.
The destroyer Iron Will was not the biggest ship in Earth's fleet, but it was one of the toughest. Steve had commanded her for 5 years through asteroid mining operations and colony defense missions. "There's the alien ship," said his second-in-command, Lieutenant Colonel Amy Rodriguez. She pointed at the screen showing a vessel unlike anything they had ever seen. It was smooth and curved like a living thing. No sharp edges or obvious weapons. "Looks peaceful enough," Steve said. "But keep our weapons ready just in case." Amy nodded. She had fought in the colony wars against the rebel settlements. She knew that the most dangerous enemies often looked harmless at first. The human delegation boarded the station through the main docking bay. Ambassador John Hayes led the group. He was a career diplomat who had handled trade negotiations with the Mars colonies. He was calm, under pressure, and good at reading people. Behind him came a small team of scientists, military, advisors, and security personnel. Each person had been carefully chosen for this mission. They knew they were representing all of humanity. The aliens were waiting in the station's main conference room. Ambassador Veltar stood as the humans entered. He was tall and thin, with green skin and large, gentle eyes. His people had no natural weapons, no claws or sharp teeth. They had been plant eaters for so long that they had lost all traces of their predator past. "Welcome," Veltar said in carefully practiced English. "We are honored to meet the people of Earth." John Hayes stepped forward and smiled. "Thank you for inviting us. We're excited to learn about the galaxy and our place in it." The first part of the meeting went well. The aliens explained about the Peaceful Species Alliance. Over 300 different intelligent species had joined together to share knowledge and resources. They had ended war, hunger, and disease across thousands of worlds. They lived in harmony and helped each other grow and learn. The humans listened politely and asked good questions. They seemed interested in trade agreements and cultural exchange. They talked about their art, their science, and their desire for peace. But Veltar noticed things that worried him. The way the humans moved was different from other species he had met. Their eyes never stopped moving, always watching for danger. Their bodies were tense, like they were ready to run or fight at any moment. Most disturbing were their eyes. Every intelligent species Veltar had met had eyes that were designed to find plants or see in dark water or notice small details. Human eyes were different. They were the eyes of something that hunted other living things. One of the human security officers, a woman with short dark hair, stood near the back of the room. She never sat down during the entire meeting. She watched every alien in the room and kept one hand near something on her belt. Veltar realized it was probably a weapon. When the meeting ended, both sides agreed to continue talks. The aliens would visit Earth to learn about human culture. Humans would send representatives to see some of the peaceful worlds in the Alliance. As the humans returned to their ship, Veltar felt uneasy. The meeting had gone well, but something felt wrong. These humans were not like the other species he had worked with. There was something dangerous about them that he could not identify. "What did you think of them?" his aide asked. Veltar watched the human ship disappear into faster-than-light travel. "I think we may have made a mistake," he said quietly. "Think these humans are more complicated than we realized." But the decision had been made. First contact was complete. The process of bringing humanity into the galactic community had begun. Neither side knew how much that would change everything. 3 months after the first meeting with humans, the Galactic Council was busy with paperwork. Morden sat at his desk in the Peaceful Archives Division and looked at the files about Earth. His job was to classify new species, so the Council would know how to help them join galactic society. Morden had never met a human in person. He only had reports from Ambassador Veltar and the other aliens who attended the meeting. Reports said humans were intelligent and wanted peace. They had technology but were not as advanced as most Council species. They seemed interested in trade and learning, another peaceful species, Morden said to himself as he filled out the forms. He had done this work for 50 years. Most new species were the same. They had evolved beyond violence and wanted to join the community of civilized worlds. He marked the classification as Class 7, Developing Civilization. This meant humans would get the standard treatment for new members. Cultural exchange programs, technology sharing, and gradual integration into galactic society was the same process used for dozens of other species. Morden sent the files to Integration Officer Helmora and moved on to his next case. He never thought about humans again. Helmora received the human files with excitement. She loved working with new species and helping them find their place in the galaxy. The humans sounded interesting. A species from a water world that had developed space travel on their own. She began planning the cultural exchange program. 20 alien observers would visit Earth to study human civilization. They would learn about human art, philosophy, and social structures. Then they would report back to the Council about the best way to help humans advance. This should be straightforward, Helmora told her assistant. Waterworld species are usually very peaceful. They should fit in well with the Alliance. On Earth, the governments were not sure what to do about the aliens. President Elena Foster called an emergency meeting with world leaders in Geneva. The conference room was full of tension as representatives from every major nation debated humanity's future. We need to be careful, President Foster said. She had been elected partly because of her foreign policy experience, but nothing had prepared her for alien contact. We don't know what these aliens really want. Premier Luea of the Panacean Alliance disagreed. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. They're offering us technology and knowledge that could solve all our problems. We should accept their offer immediately. General Carl Williams stood up from his seat at the back of the room. He was in charge of Earth's military forces and had fought in 3 different wars. His opinion carried weight with everyone in the room. I've read all the reports from our people who met with the aliens, he said. They seem peaceful, but that could be an act. More importantly, I don't think they understand what humans are capable of. That could be dangerous for everyone. What do you mean? President Foster asked. They're treating us like we're just another peaceful species. But we're not. We're predators. We're warriors. If they don't understand that, they might make mistakes that get people killed. The debate continued for hours. Finally, they agreed to allow the alien cultural mission to visit Earth, but they would control what the aliens saw. Earth would show its best face to the galaxy. The alien cultural team arrived on Earth 2 months later. Their ship landed at the specially prepared facility in Nevada. 20 aliens from different species stepped out to breathe Earth air for the first time. Cultural analyst Ketron led the group. He was excited to study a new civilization. The species, the Thought Weavers, were famous throughout the galaxy for understanding other cultures. He expected to learn fascinating things about human society. The human guides were waiting for them. Documentarian Kevin Turner had made films about human achievements in science and medicine. Historian Maria Santos had written books about human cooperation and peaceful development. Both had been carefully chosen for this mission. Welcome to Earth, Kevin said as he shook hands with Ketron. The alien was surprised by the firm grip, but interpreted it as a sign of friendship. For the next 3 weeks, the aliens toured Earth's greatest achievements. They visited the International Space Station and learned about human cooperation in space exploration. They saw hospitals where humans saved lives and schools where children learned about peace and understanding in Paris. They visited art museums and saw beautiful paintings and sculptures. In Vienna, they listened to orchestras playing music that moved them to tears. In Tokyo, they watched demonstrations of advanced technology that impressed even their sophisticated minds. Maria Santos took them to libraries and universities. She showed them human philosophy and literature. The aliens read about human thinkers who had spent their lives working for peace and understanding. They learned about human efforts to protect the environment and help the poor. Humans are remarkable, Ketron told his team as they prepared their report. They have created a beautiful civilization based on cooperation and learning. They will fit perfectly into the Alliance. But the aliens never saw certain parts of human culture. Their guides carefully avoided military bases and war memorials. They did not visit boxing matches or see movies about war. They never learned about the sports where humans competed in combat for entertainment. Most importantly, they never understood Earth's ecosystem. Kevin and Maria showed them parks and nature preserves, but only the peaceful parts. The aliens saw deer grazing in meadows, but never saw wolves hunting. They saw beautiful fish in aquariums, but never learned about sharks. When a young alien asked about predators on Earth, Maria explained that humans had moved beyond that stage of development. She showed them pictures of humans feeding animals in zoos and protecting endangered species. The aliens returned to their ship convinced that humans were gentle philosophers who happened to live on a planet with some dangerous weather. They never suspected that the dangerous weather had created the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Back on Earth, General Williams was not happy with how the cultural exchange had gone. He met with President Foster in the White House to discuss his concerns. "We're lying to them," he said. "We're pretending to be something we're not. That's going to cause problems later." "We're showing them our best side," President Foster replied. "There's nothing wrong with that. Every species probably does the same thing. Ma'am, with respect, I don't think other species have a worse side like we do. These aliens seem to think all intelligent life is peaceful. They don't understand that some species are natural fighters." President Foster looked out the window at the garden where her children were playing. "Maybe it's time we became a peaceful species too. Maybe this is our chance to be better than we were." General Williams shook his head. "You can't change millions of years of evolution with good intentions. We are what we are. The question is, what happens when they figure that out?" The alien cultural team's report reached the Galactic Council 6 weeks later. Ketron presented his findings to the full assembly, described humans as peaceful agrarian philosophers with developing space capabilities. "The humans show great promise," he told the council. "They have overcome their primitive past and built a civilization based on art, science, and cooperation. They care deeply for their planet and for each other. I recommend immediate full integration into the Alliance." Council voted unanimously to accept humanity into the galactic community. They approved technology sharing agreements, cultural exchange programs, and trade relationships. No one questioned the classification or asked for additional HEU. Investigation. Ambassador Veltar was not present for the vote. He was still troubled by his memories of meeting the humans. Something about their behavior had bothered him, but he could not put it into words. The cultural team's report seemed to contradict his instincts, so he said nothing. The decision was final. Humanity would be welcomed into the Peaceful Species Alliance as full members. The process would begin immediately with joint scientific missions and shared research projects no one in the council chamber realized. They had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. They had invited apex predators to join a community of prey species. And worse, they had given those predators access to detailed information about every peaceful civilization in the galaxy. The classification error was complete. In the official records, humans were listed as harmless philosophers with the truth about Earth's death world nature and humanity's predator. Heritage remained hidden. It would not stay hidden for long. Dr. Alex Chen had never been so excited about a space mission. The joint scientific expedition to explore the rogue planet in the Centauri Drift was exactly the kind of work he had dreamed about as a child. Working alongside alien scientists to unlock the mysteries of the universe felt like the best possible future for humanity. The research ship Starseeker was a marvel of combined human and alien. The aliens had provided advanced sensors and faster-than-light engines. The humans had contributed their expertise in planetary geology and resource identification. It seemed like a perfect partnership. Alex worked closely with the alien researcher Kilvis, a member of the Crystal Singers species. Kilvis had been studying rogue planets for over a century and was considered one of the galaxy's leading experts. His crystalline body could process data in ways that amazed the human scientists. "Species learns very quickly," Kilvis told Alex as they reviewed the survey data. "Most new species take decades to understand our technology. Humans seem to grasp it almost immediately." Alex smiled. "We've always been good at adapting to new situations. It's probably why we survived on Earth as long as we did." The rogue planet they were studying had been wandering through space for millions of years. It had no sun but still had internal heat from radioactive decay. The readings suggested it might have valuable minerals and possibly even primitive life forms. Everything went smoothly for the first 3 days of the expedition. The combined team worked well together. The humans impressed the aliens with their practical problem-solving skills. The aliens amazed the humans with their advanced understanding of physics and chemistry. Then the Void Reavers attacked. The pirates came out of faster-than-light travel without warning. 3 black ships appeared around the Starseeker, like predators, surrounding prey. The research vessel had no weapons and nowhere to run. Captain Turville of the Star Seeker was a member of the peaceful Tide species. His people had never fought a war in their entire history. When faced with violence, their instinct was to surrender and hope for mercy. "This is Captain Turville of the research vessel Starseeker," he broadcast to the pirate ships. "We are conducting peaceful scientific research. We will cooperate fully with your demands." The lead pirate ship responded immediately. "This is Commander Vexstar of the Void Reavers. Prepare to be boarded. Resist, and you will be destroyed." The alien crew of the Starseeker began following standard protocol for pirate attacks. They gathered in the main cargo bay with their hands visible. They prepared to surrender their ship and hoped the pirates would let them live. It was what every peaceful species did when faced with the Reavers. The humans did something completely different. Security Chief Ray Martinez had been quiet during most of the expedition. He was a former Marine who had fought in the asteroid belt conflicts. He had been hired to protect the human scientists, but until now, there had been nothing to protect them from. When the pirates announced they were boarding the ship, Ray's entire demeanor changed. The friendly, relaxed man the aliens had worked with for 3 days disappeared. In his place stood a trained killer who had been waiting for a threat to appear. "You're all human personnel. Code red," Ray said into his communicator. "We have hostile boarders. Defend yourselves." The aliens watched in shock as the humans transformed before their eyes. Dr. Alex Chen, the gentle scientist who had been so excited about planetary research, picked up a heavy metal tool and tested its weight like a weapon. Pilot Kate Brooks, who had been teaching alien children about Earth culture, began moving through the ship with the silent grace of a hunting animal. Engineer Danny Phillips, a quiet man who rarely spoke above a whisper, began improvising weapons from spare parts. With frightening efficiency, in minutes, it created devices that could cause serious harm to anyone who threatened the crew. The Void Reavers boarded the ship expecting easy prey. They were used to dealing with peaceful species who surrendered without a fight. They brought basic weapons and minimal armor because they had never encountered serious resistance. What they found instead were humans who had been hiding their true nature for months. Ray Martinez and his security team did not fight like civilized beings, defending themselves. They fought like apex predators protecting their territory. They used ambush tactics, improvised weapons, and coordinated attacks that the pirates had never seen before. The humans did not just defend key areas of the ship. They hunted the boarders through the corridors like wolves pursuing wounded prey. They showed no fear of death and no mercy for enemies who threatened their people. Dr. Alex Chun cornered a Reaver pirate in the geology lab. The pirate was twice his size and armed with an energy weapon. Alex had nothing but a rock hammer and his knowledge of human anatomy. The fight was over in seconds. Pilot Kate Brooks used her knowledge of the ship's layout to trap 3 pirates in a maintenance section. She then vented the atmosphere from that section, leaving the pirates unconscious and helpless. Engineer Danny Phillips rigged the ship's internal communication system to create high-frequency sounds that disrupted the pirates' hearing. Then he moved through the ship with Ray's team, systematically eliminating threats. The battle lasted only 20 minutes. When it was over, all the Reaver boarders were dead or unconscious. The human crew had suffered only minor injuries. The alien crew was unharmed but completely traumatized by what they had witnessed. Kilva stared at Dr. Alex Chen with eyes that glowed with shock and fear. The gentle scientist he had worked with for days was standing over the body of a pirate. Twice his size, Alex was breathing heavily and his clothes were torn, but he seemed completely calm. "Are you injured?" Alex asked Kilvas with the same concerned voice he used when discussing planetary data. Kilvas could not answer. His crystalline body was vibrating with stress frequencies that indicated extreme psychological trauma. The alien crew gathered in the main conference room after the immediate danger had passed. Captain Turville was shaking as he tried to process what had happened. His entire understanding of the universe had changed in 20 minutes. "How?" he asked Ray Martinez. "How did you do that?" "The Void Reavers are the most feared pirates in the galaxy. No one fights back against them. No one wins. Ray looked confused by the question. They threatened our people. What did you expect us to do? Surrender, Tervel said. That is what civilized beings do when faced with superior force. We cooperate and hope for mercy. Ray shook his head. That's not what humans do. We protect our own. We fight back. Xenopsychologist Telena, who had been part of the alien research team, tried to understand what she had observed. She interviewed each human crew member separately, looking for explanations for their behavior. Do you feel guilt about what you did to the pirates? She asked Kate Brooks. Kate looked puzzled. Guilt. They were going to hurt innocent people. I stopped them. Why would I feel guilty about that? But you killed them. You ended their lives. They made that choice when they decided to attack peaceful researchers. I just helped them reach the logical conclusion of their decision. Telena tried a different approach with Danny Phillips. Your species is supposed to be peaceful philosophers. How do you explain your actions today? Danny considered the question carefully. You're peaceful. We don't start fights. But when someone threatens our friends, our family, our crew, we finish fights. That's what makes us human. The interviews continued for hours, but Talana found no remorse, no guilt. No indication that the humans saw their actions as unusual or wrong. They had killed and injured other beings with the same calm efficiency they brought to scientific research. News of the incident spread quickly through the Galactic Council communication networks. Most officials dismissed it as an anomaly. Humans had gotten lucky against a small group of pirates. Did not change their classification as a peaceful species, but security analyst Brechtel was not satisfied with simple explanations. He began collecting data on human activities since first contact. What he found disturbed him deeply. Humans were asking for star charts of dangerous regions. They wanted information about hostile species and their capabilities. They showed unusual interest in defensive technologies and weapon systems. Most concerning, they were asking questions about the location and defenses of peaceful colony worlds. Brechtel prepared a report warning the Council that humans might not be what they appeared to be. But before he could present it, another incident occurred that would change everything the galaxy thought it knew about humanity. Counselor Prime Eshtar had ruled the Galactic Council for over 300 years. In all that time, he had never called an emergency investigation into a member species. But the reports coming from human-involved incidents were too disturbing to ignore. The second major incident had occurred just weeks after the pirate attack. The research station Deep Horizon had gone silent in Reaver-controlled space. The station held important council archives and 40 researchers from 6 different species. By all standard procedures, the station and everyone on it should have been written off as lost. Instead, Captain Rick Foster of the human vessel Retribution had requested permission to attempt a rescue. The council had granted it, expecting a symbolic gesture that would end in tragedy. What happened next shocked every peaceful species in the galaxy. Foster's crew had executed a precision military operation that extracted all 40 researchers and left the Reaver base completely destroyed. The after-action report filed by Communications, Officer Beth Young was clinical and efficient, describing the elimination of hostile combatants with the same tone used for routine maintenance logs. I want a full investigation, Eshtar announced to the Council Assembly. Something is wrong with our understanding of these humans. I want to know what we missed. Xenomilitary Specialist Lockthon received the assignment with mixed feelings. He was one of the few council members with any military experience, having served as a peacekeeping officer for over a century. Unlike most council species, his people retain some knowledge of conflict from their ancient past. I want unrestricted access to human society, Lockthon told the council. No guided tours, no prepared presentations. I want to see everything. The human government agreed to the investigation. President Foster met with General Williams to discuss their response. Should we show him the same sanitized version we showed the cultural team? She asked. General Williams shook his head. No point now. They're already suspicious. Yet, better to show him the truth and hope he can handle it. What if he can't handle it? What if the council decides we're too dangerous? Then we deal with that problem when it comes. But lying to them hasn't worked. Maybe honesty will. Lochthon arrived on Earth 3 weeks later. Unlike the previous alien visitors, he came alone and unannounced. He wanted to see human civilization as it really was, without preparation or propaganda. His first stop was the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History in Washington. Human guide Patricia Kane met him at the entrance. She was a military historian who specialized in the evolution of human warfare. "Welcome to Earth," Patricia said. "I understand you want to see the real human civilization. I should warn you, it might not be what you expect." She led him through exhibits showing Earth's natural history. Lochthon saw displays of ancient predators with massive teeth and claws. He learned about mass extinction events where only the strongest and most adaptable species survived. "Your planet has experienced remarkable violence," he observed. "Just the beginning," Patricia replied. "Let me show you where humans fit in this ecosystem." She took him to the Human Evolution exhibit. Lochthon stared at the displays showing humanity's development from tree-dwelling primates to plains hunting bipeds. The progression was clear and terrifying. Humans had evolved specifically to kill other animals for food. "You are persistence hunters," Lochthon said, with growing horror. "Your species literally runs prey animals to death." Patricia nodded. "Probably the most efficient persistence hunters that ever evolved on Earth. We can track wounded animals for days. We never give up once we start hunting something." The next exhibit showed human tool development. Stone axes, spears, bows, and arrows. Innovation designed to kill more efficiently. Lochthon saw displays of traps and hunting strategies that revealed a level of predatory intelligence that no council species possessed. "But surely you evolved beyond this," Lochthon said hopefully. "Surely modern humans are different." Patricia led him to the warfare exhibit. Lochthon found himself surrounded by weapons and armor from every period of human history: swords, guns, tanks, fighter jets. The progression showed thousands of years of continuous military innovation. "We never stopped being hunters," Patricia explained. "We just became better at it. We learned to hunt other humans instead of animals." She showed him displays about human wars. The scale of violence shocked Lochthon. Battles involving millions of soldiers. Conflicts that lasted for years. Weapons capable of destroying entire cities. The Second World War involved over 70 million casualties, Patricia said matter-of-factly. It was fought on every continent and lasted 6 years. Lochthon felt sick. "How many wars has your species fought?" "Out. We stopped counting around 10,000. That's just the major ones we have records for." The museum visit continued for hours. Lochthon learned about gladiators who fought to the death for entertainment. He saw displays of martial arts from dozens of different cultures. Watched videos of modern combat sports where humans fought each other for recreation. "You enjoy?" "Violence," he realized with horror. "We compete through violence," Patricia corrected. "It's how we determine who's strongest, who's fastest, who's smartest under pressure. Violence is our natural way of solving problems." Dr. Tony Rodriguez met with Lochthon the next day at the Military War College. Tony was a biologist who specialized in human evolution and behavior. His job was to explain the scientific basis for human nature. "Every human child is born with predator instincts," Tony explained as they walked through the college grounds. "We teach them to hunt, to compete, to dominate their environment. It's fundamental to who we are." He showed Lochthon video footage of human children playing. Games like tag were actually practice for hunting. Sports like football were simulated. Warfare. Even children's toys were often weapons or vehicles designed for combat. "Your young practice violence from birth," Lochthon observed. "They practice survival skills," Tony corrected. "On a death world like Earth, anything that can't fight back doesn't survive long enough to reproduce." Tony explained humanity's place. In Earth's ecosystem, humans were apex predators who had no natural enemies except other humans. They had conquered every environment on the planet through superior intelligence and overwhelming violence. "We domesticated wolves to help us hunt," Tony said. "We turned the fiercest predators on the planet into our pets and hunting companions." Lochthon spent the rest of the week observing human society. He attended a boxing match and watched humans beat each other unconscious while thousands cheered. He visited military bases where soldiers trained for war with enthusiasm and pride. He toured police stations where humans whose job was protecting society carried weapons and were trained to kill threats to public safety. Even the humans responsible for peace were warriors. Most disturbing was his visit to a typical human school. Children as young as 5 played games that simulated hunting and combat. They learned about famous warriors and military leaders as heroes. Physical education classes taught them fighting skills disguised as sports. Even your children are being prepared for war, Lochthan told his human guide. They're being prepared for life, the guide replied. Life on Earth means being ready to fight for what you believe in. Lochthan's final stop was the Arlington National Cemetery. Thousands of graves marked the resting places of humans who had died in combat. Each grave represented someone who had chosen to fight and die rather than surrender. We honor our warriors above all others, Patricia explained as they walked among the graves. These people are our greatest heroes because they were willing to die to protect others. But they died violently. They killed other beings. They died free. They died protecting what they loved. To humans, that's the most honorable way to live and die. Lochthan returned to the Galactic Council with a report that shattered everything they thought they knew about humanity. He stood before the full assembly and delivered findings that caused panic throughout the chamber. Humans are not peaceful philosophers, he announced. They are apex predators from a death world. Their entire civilization is built around conflict, competition, and survival through violence. The council chamber erupted in shocked voices and panicked discussions. Species representatives demanded immediate action. Some called for humanity to be expelled from the Alliance. Others suggested military containment. They have been lying to us, one representative shouted. They hid their true nature to gain access to our worlds. Lochthan raised his hand for silence. I do not believe they were intentionally deceptive. They showed us what they thought we wanted to see. But their fundamental nature cannot be hidden forever. What do you recommend? Counselor Prime Eshtar asked. I recommend we prepare for the possibility that we have made a terrible mistake. We have given apex predators access to detailed information about every peaceful species in the galaxy. If they decide we are prey, we have no way to stop them. The debate that followed lasted for days. Some council members argued that humans had shown no aggression toward peaceful species. Others pointed out that predators often waited for the right moment to strike. The galaxy's peaceful civilizations faced a crisis unlike any in their history. They had invited wolves into a community of sheep. The only question now was what the wolves would do with their new knowledge. The emergency alert reached every peaceful world in the galaxy at the same time. The message was simple and terrifying. The Void Reavers had launched their largest offensive in 300 years. Over 300 pirate ships were attacking civilized worlds across 7 star systems. Dread Admiral Kroshvan had spent 2 years planning this assault. He knew the Galactic Council had no real military force. Their ships were designed for exploration and peaceful trade, not warfare. The peaceful species would surrender rather than fight back. It was the perfect time to claim the galaxy's richest worlds, Admiral. Vakrin commanded the Council's defense fleet from his flagship Harmony's Light. His ships were beautiful works of art with smooth curves and elegant designs. They carried scientific instruments and diplomatic facilities. They were completely useless in a real war. Sir, we're receiving surrender requests from the Kepler colonies, his communications officer reported. The Centauri research stations are also requesting evacuation. Vakrin stared at the tactical display showing red enemy symbols spreading across the galaxy like a disease. His peaceful fleet of 60 ships faced over 300 Reaver vessels designed specifically for destruction. Send word to all Council worlds, he ordered. We will do what we can, but prepare for the worst. The first attacks were devastating. The Kepler colonies fell within hours. The research stations at Centauri were destroyed or captured. Millions of peaceful beings faced slavery or death as the pirates advanced toward the Council's capital worlds. On Earth, The news arrived during an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. President Foster sat with world leaders and military commanders as reports of the galactic crisis poured in. "The Alien Council is asking all member species for help," General Williams reported. "They're facing complete destruction." "What can we do?" Premier Louet asked. "We only have a few dozen ships capable of interstellar travel." General Williams looked around the room at the assembled leaders. "We have 47 warships currently operational, the Constitution, the Washington, the Churchill, and 44 others, all designed for combat." President Foster understood the implications immediately. "You want to send our entire battle fleet to fight aliens we've never seen before in a war that isn't ours?" "Ma'am, these peaceful species trusted us. They welcomed us into their community. Now they're dying because they can't defend themselves. And if we lose our ships, Earth becomes defenseless. If we do nothing, we lose our allies and prove that humans can't be trusted. Either way, Earth ends up alone." The debate was brief. Within 4 hours, Earth's entire battle fleet was heading toward the conflict zone. Admiral Lisa Thompson commanded the fleet from the battleship Vengeance. Her ships had names that reflected human nature: Relentless, Iron Hammer, Retribution, Defiance. The Alien Council received word of the human response with mixed feelings. Some members were grateful for any help. Others worried that they were inviting more predators into an already dangerous situation. 47 ships cannot make a difference against 300, Counselor Prime Eshtar told his advisors. But perhaps their sacrifice will buy us time to evacuate the core worlds. The human fleet reached the Kepler system as the Reavers were looting the fallen colonies. Admiral Thompson studied the tactical display with the cold calculation of a born predator evaluating prey. Enemy ships are scattered and focused on ground operations, her tactical officer Commodore Jason Lee reported. "They're not expecting resistance." "Good," Thompson replied. "Signal all ships. We go in fast and hard. No warnings, no mercy." These pirates chose their fate when they attacked innocent people. The Battle of Kepler's Gate became the stuff of legend. The human fleet struck the scattered Reaver ships like a pack of wolves attacking confused prey. Every human vessel had been designed with one purpose: to destroy other ships as efficiently as possible. The Reavers had never faced opposition like this. Their ships were built to intimidate peaceful species and raid undefended colonies. We're not prepared for enemies who fought back with superior technology and absolute ruthlessness. Captain Mike Davis commanded the assault ship Thunderstrike. His vessel tore through 3 Reaver ships in the first 5 minutes of combat. His weapons were designed by humans who understood warfare in ways that peaceful species never could. Fleet Captain Susan Brown led a squadron of destroyers in a flanking attack that caught the Reaver command ship by surprise. Her ships moved with the coordination of predators who had evolved to hunt in packs. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 230 Reaver ships had been destroyed or disabled. The human fleet had lost only 3 vessels. Void Reavers, the most feared pirates in galactic history, had been crushed by a species they had never heard of. But the most important moment came at the end of the battle. Captain Davis opened a communication channel to the surviving Reaver ships as they tried to flee the system. "This is Captain Davis of the Earth vessel Thunderstrike," he broadcast. "Tell every pirate, slaver, and predator in this galaxy, Earth protects the innocent. We are the monsters that hunt monsters." The message was picked up by Council observers throughout the battle zone. Within hours, it had spread across the galaxy. For the first time in galactic history, someone had spoken. To the predators in language they understood, the surviving Reaver ships fled to the far edge of the galaxy. Dread Admiral Croshvan's mighty fleet was scattered and broken. The greatest pirate offensive in centuries had been stopped by humans who fought with a skill and ferocity that amazed both enemies and allies. News of the victory reached the Galactic Council as member species were preparing to evacuate their home worlds. The peaceful beings who had expected extinction instead learned that the human predators had chosen to protect them. Ambassador Rachel Turner stood before the Council Assembly to address the galaxy for the first time since the crisis began. She was a career diplomat, but she spoke with the quiet confidence of someone backed by the most powerful military force in known space. The Council feared that humans were predators who would prey upon peaceful species, she said. You were right about the first part. We are predators. We're the most efficient killers this galaxy has ever seen. The assembly listened in tense silence as she continued. But you were wrong about what we would do with that nature. Humans don't prey on the innocent. Protect the innocent from those who would harm them. She gestured to the tactical displays, still showing the aftermath of the battle. We have appointed ourselves as the galaxy's guardians. We will use our predator nature to hunt down those who threaten peaceful civilizations. Pirates, slavers, and warmongers will find that there is something in this galaxy more dangerous than they are. The Council voted unanimously to grant humanity a new classification, Galactic Protectorate Species. For the first time in galactic history, a species would hold the role of active military defender of the peace. The change was immediate and dramatic. Human patrol fleets began sweeping the trade routes, hunting down pirate ships and slaver operations. The galaxy's criminals found themselves facing enemies who were better at violence than they were. But the humans also worked. To help peaceful species understand their role, Dr. Sam Wilson established the first interspecies military academy on a neutral world. Beings from across the galaxy came to learn that sometimes the best way to preserve peace was to be prepared for war. We don't want other species to become like us, Dr. Wilson explained to his first class of alien students. We want you to understand that predators and prey can coexist when the predators choose to protect rather than destroy. The Academy taught defensive strategies, threat assessment, and crisis management. More importantly, it helped peaceful species overcome their instinctive fear of violence and learn to work with their human protectors. The transformation of galactic society took years, but the results were remarkable. Crime rates dropped to historic lows as criminals learned to fear human justice. Trade routes became safer than they had been in centuries. Peaceful species could focus on art, science, and philosophy without worrying about external threats. Other predator species in the galaxy began emerging from isolation. The wolf-like Skelter and the reptilian Draxon had avoided the Council for generations, believing they were too violent for peaceful society. Now they saw that predators could have a place in civilization. The memorial built on the ruins of Kroshvin's former stronghold became a symbol of the new galactic order. The simple stone monument bore the names of every being who had died in the Reaver raids, with an inscription in hundreds of languages, protected by those who chose to be guardians, not conquerors. 5 years after first contact, humanity had found its place in the galaxy. They were not the peaceful philosophers the Council had expected, nor were they the destroyers that many had feared. They were something entirely new in galactic civilization. Predators who chose to use their nature in service of those who could not protect themselves. The galaxy was finally safe, guarded by the Deathworlders who had chosen to be heroes instead of villains.